Rundown, brought to you by Goal Zero.
Remembering a broadcasting legend, tributes have been pouring in from around the world after people learned of the passing of Dodgers announcer Vin Scully. Hello, everyone. Welcome to The Rundown. I'm Robin Winston. Scully died Tuesday night at his home here in Los Angeles. He was 94 years old. His tenure with the Dodgers will never be equaled by any broadcaster in any sport. Vin called games for the Boys in Blue for 67 seasons, starting in Brooklyn, 8 years before the team moved to Los Angeles. But it was after the move when he cemented his spot in history. His voice became the soundtrack for so many important events here in Southern California. Scully's last year in the booth was 2016, and his final call at the stadium was a walk-off home run that clinched the Western Division title.
I grew up very poor, so we could not come to games, and we listened to him on the radio a lot. My grandfather did, so it's almost like a part of my grandfather is dying all over again. I think that's why it's so hard. What can you say? I mean, what can you say? Thank you. Thank you. And you are so loved.
The Dodgers called Scully the heartbeat of the team and added that in many ways he was the heartbeat of LA. And this one from basketball legend LeBron James. Rest in power, a City of Angels icon, another great one who made sports so damn special. Vin Scully's impact went beyond the world of sports. He has his own star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. We saw some people stopping by to take a picture. He received the star back in 1982, the same year he was honored by the Baseball Hall of Fame for his contributions as a broadcaster. We have so much more on the life and legacy of Vin Scully on NBCLA.com and the NBC4 mobile app. You'll find a timeline of him through the years, along with some very special photos and reaction as it continues to pour in from across the country. All right, let's check in with meteorologist Belinda Leon, who's tracking some summer heat and a chance that we could see more thunderstorm activity.
Hey there. Well, we continue to see high surf at the coast. The beach hazard statement is in effect through Wednesday evening. In the coming days, we're expecting for the conditions to improve out there if you want to go and get into the water. Meanwhile, inland, we're going to have humidity increasing as we look into the weekend, a surge of monsoon moisture. We've had a chance for storms every afternoon in the mountains, but we have a bigger chance into the weekend, especially for the mountains and deserts. We could even see some stormy weather west of the mountains, with the main threats being lightning and heavy rain. Other than that, typical summer heat. Temperatures for Los Angeles are going to hover in the low 80s through Friday, getting warmer into the weekend. Some spots inland could see temperatures in the triple digits.
A child in Long Beach has tested positive for monkeypox. It's only the second known pediatric case in the state, and it comes just as California has declared a state of emergency over the outbreak. There are nearly 800 monkeypox cases in the state. That's according to the state public health department. LA County has the most cases in the state, followed by San Francisco. Most cases are among men, but anyone can get the virus.
But one of the ways that we know that it's transmitted is through skin-to-skin contact. And so what's really important to understand about that is, while certainly skin comes into skin contact during sexual activity, sex is not the primary or only way in which monkeypox is transmitted.
In order to get a vaccine, you need to meet a certain criteria. That includes direct exposure, or if you're taking the HIV prevention pill PrEP.
I'm a power blackout, and I'm going to put you in the dark. What is that?
It's the Yeti 3000X solar generator, a home backup system from Goal Zero. Take that blackout.
When LAUSD students go back to school in less than 2 weeks, they'll have less restrictive COVID rules. The district is ditching mask requirements, weekly universal testing, and the daily passes. LAUSD will also continue to postpone its requirement for all students to get vaccinated. Take-home tests will be available for those who are experiencing symptoms. The isolation period for students who test positive is now in line with what the CDC recommends, down from 10 days to 5. Getting kids ready for back to school can be expensive, especially this year with inflation. The Boys and Girls Club of Santa Ana tried to alleviate some of that pressure by giving away hundreds of backpacks filled with school supplies. There was also shaved ice to help cool off.
We're going to be having different color backpacks. We're going to be having pencils, pens, notebooks, books, face masks, different items for the kids to take home.
We love to see it. According to a Deloitte poll, the average amount spent on back to school for one student is more than $660. If you rent a storage unit, there's a good chance your rent keeps going up. The NBC4 I-team has received a number of complaints about this over the past few years, so they looked into it. Here's Carolyn Johnson.
A few years ago, Mark Smolin lost the lease of his apartment. Not sure where he was going next, he moved his belongings into a Pasadena public storage unit.
I had to liquidate things that I couldn't afford to store, so I rented the smallest unit I could.
Mark's rent started at $108 a month. 3.5 years later, it's gone up more than 70% to $192. He says he told Public Storage he can't afford it, but they won't help.
I said, you know, I'm a senior, I'm going to be on a fixed income, right? So I need to keep the cost down. But that doesn't matter.
Throughout the pandemic, the I-team has heard complaints from other struggling consumers about Public Storage. They say the company levied huge rent increases, hit them with late fees, and even threatened to auction off their belongings if they didn't come current with their rent. While you are protected by law against some of these actions when renting a residential unit like an apartment, there are no protections when renting a storage unit. That's because the industry isn't regulated. No one's watching what's going on, so they raise rents because they can.
This is all about stuff. We bought a lot of stuff over the past 2 years, and that's what's driving a lot of this demand.
Adrian Ponson is an industrial real estate analyst. He says storage facilities have very few vacant units right now, and that's driving up prices. He says during the pandemic, when consumers quit spending money on travel and entertainment, many bought stuff instead, but they had no place to put it all, so they started renting space. Ponson says rents on storage units typically go up 2% a year, but now they've been going up an average of 17%.
When you couple all of this stuff that Americans have bought over the past 2 years with the fact that we're in a general squeeze in the housing market where it's tough to find more space, this has really been a huge boost to the self-storage industry.
The I-team wanted to talk with Public Storage about the complaints we've received, but the company did not return our repeated phone calls. The Better Business Bureau says consumers really have only one option.
The advice that we give to consumers is shop around, research, even if it's not so close to maybe where you live or where your business is, or that might be comfortable, you might find it might be economical for you to shop around and look at different units.
Carolyn Johnson, NBC4 News.
The much-anticipated People Mover at LAX is one step closer to completion. The first train car was unveiled Tuesday. Each car will hold 50 people. There will be 4 cars per train. The People Mover will connect LAX terminals to parking lots, the rental car center, and the new Crenshaw LAX Metro Station. It's scheduled to be ready sometime next year. It's just a part of a $2 billion renovation that's expected to be done by the 2026 World Cup and the 2028 Olympics. The Thompson sisters, Alyssa and Giselle, are 2 teenage soccer players on track to become household names. Among their achievements, the pair have made history as the first high schoolers to sign a multi-year name, image, and likeness deal with Nike. Alyssa, a junior at her high school here in LA, reflects on the progress of women in pro sports that paved the way for their achievement.
It wouldn't be possible without the people before us, which we are so grateful and appreciative for, like, all the women that have came before us and paved this way for, because like maybe 30 years ago, this would definitely not be happening for women especially. So it's just insane to me how far we've come.
Both sisters have already helped score international victories on their respective USA national teams. You can always get news and weather updates on the NBCLA app and on our website, NBCLA.com. And be sure to tune into Today in LA on NBC4 weekdays from 4 to 7 a.m. I'll be helping you get around with the traffic reports throughout your morning commute. I'll see you next time on The Rundown.